Hello, I'm Reese, and this is my colleague Z. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce AprentisAi's AI-enabled adaptive training platform.
Thank you, Reese. Today we'll focus on how Apprentice AI can help high schools and districts deliver a meaningful aviation and drone pathway through our FAA Part 107 Small UAS Pilot Certification course. This course was built by experts with decades of air traffic control and aviation training experience, giving schools access to instruction grounded in real-world FAA expectations and safety culture.
That's right, Z. Across complex subject matter domains, our adaptive instructional process has historically produced exceptionally strong learning outcomes because it is competency-based, diagnostic, and designed for long-term retention. Instead of treating every student the same, the platform identifies where each learner is struggling and adjusts the path accordingly.
For principals and district leaders, that means something very practical: a high-interest program that can support college and career readiness, strengthen a CTAE, CTE, or STEM offering, compliant with NGSS standards, and help students move toward an industry-recognized FAA credential. It also gives schools a way to engage students in aviation, public safety, logistics, and other emerging technology fields while building workforce relevance. Apprentice AI's broader strategy has specifically included delivery in high schools and technical colleges.
Our FAA regulation-based Part 107 course can generally be completed in approximately 15 to 30 hours, making it flexible enough to support elective models, CTAE, CTE sequences, summer programs, academies, after-school enrichment, or blended learning structures.
And from a funding perspective, this kind of workforce-aligned, certification-oriented program may fit naturally into conversations around Perkins 5, CTAE and CTE innovation, career pathway expansion, and in some states, lottery-supported workforce or technical education initiatives. That makes implementation more realistic for schools that want strong student outcomes without building everything from scratch.
AprentisAi helps schools improve career readiness, personalize instruction, reduce unnecessary repetition, and give administrators better visibility into student progress. In short, it helps districts offer modern career-connected learning with measurable instructional value. Welcome to a sample lesson from our FAA Small UAS Pilot Certification course. In this lesson, students learn about airspace categories and classifications. For school leaders, what matters here is not just the content itself, but the fact that students are learning real FAA concepts tied to safe and legal drone operation.
That's important because drone education is not just about flying. It is about safety, compliance, decision-making, situational awareness, and responsibility. Those are exactly the kinds of habits schools want students to build in high-value technical programs.
And because the platform is adaptive, students are not simply clicking through content. They are being guided toward mastery with support targeted to the exact concepts they need to strengthen. Xi has a gift for making complex aviation topics easy to understand, and that is especially important when students are new to the language of airspace, flight rules, and FAA operations.
Thanks, Reese. One of the things we want students to realize is that the airspace system is organized for safety, just like road systems are organized for drivers. That comparison helps learners quickly understand that drones operate in a structured environment with rules, responsibilities, and consequences.
And when students begin to understand that structure, they are not just preparing for a test. They are building confidence and professional awareness. That is one reason this course fits so well in high school career pathways. Students are learning how regulated industries actually work.
Exactly. It gives them a window into aviation careers like air traffic control, engineering systems, public safety applications, mapping, agriculture, inspection work, and other drone-enabled fields, while reinforcing the idea that professionalism starts with knowledge and compliance.
And here is a great bonus. Students can earn their FAA Part 107 pilot certificate at age 16. That means they are qualified to begin their own business or get a job flying drones to earn income.
For your sample lesson, let's start with airspace classifications. There are two main categories: regulatory and non-regulatory. Within those are several types of airspace, each with its own operating rules and requirements.
Now, a principal or district administrator might reasonably ask, why should high school students learn this level of detail? The answer is simple: because responsible drone operations require more than enthusiasm. Students need to understand where they can fly, where they cannot, and why those distinctions matter for safety, legality, and public trust.
And that matters in a school setting. Whether students are preparing for certification, participating in drone labs, or exploring aviation careers, they need to develop disciplined habits. Understanding airspace helps prevent unsafe operations and reinforces the seriousness of operating in the national airspace system.
It also supports program credibility. When a district offers aviation or drone training that is grounded in real FAA concepts, that signals quality to families, industry partners, workforce boards, and post-secondary institutions such as technical colleges or those participating in the FAA College Training Initiative schools.
Unlike our earlier comparison to roads, thinking about airspace requires us to think three-dimensionally. Look at this simplified graphic of the National Airspace System. Each classification of airspace is defined vertically with a floor and a ceiling and horizontally with specific dimensions. Notice that some airspace is shaped like an upside-down wedding cake, others like cylinders, and still others with basically unlimited width.
Thanks, Z. That may sound advanced, but AprentisAi is designed to make complex material teachable. The platform helps students move from first exposure to comprehension to recall to application without forcing every learner through the exact same pace. That is one of the reasons adaptive learning is so valuable in high school environments where readiness levels vary widely.
In this lesson, students begin recognizing that although drone operations are limited to 400 feet above the ground, they still exist within a much larger aviation system. That perspective is essential. It teaches students to think professionally, not casually, about flight operations. One of the things to notice is that Class B, C, and D start at the surface. And even Class G does not extend above the surface at a non-towered airport with a published instrument approach, or IFR approach for crewed aircraft. So we cannot fly our drones in these areas without a specific waiver from the FAA.
Could you tell us a little more about the instrument approach and why there is a restriction for these airports?
Sure. An instrument approach is basically designed to allow pilots of aircraft to use instruments via satellite, on the ground, and/or in the cockpit to make an approach to an airport even when weather conditions such as clouds, fog, rain, snow, smoke, or whatever restricts their vision. In fact, in fog, the cockpit may feel like being inside a ping pong ball and the pilot cannot see beyond the glass. Now, you wouldn't be flying your drone if the weather is bad and visibility is less than 3 statute miles. But even on a clear day, student pilots may be practicing at non-towered airports for flying in low or no visibility conditions by wearing a hood. In this case, only the instructor pilot may be looking out the window. But the instructor pilot is also watching the instruments and their student pilot, so an unexpected drone could seriously compromise safety.
Well, that is a good reason to check your airspace charts or apps when planning a drone training mission at what appears to be a remote airport.
And from a student, parent, or administrator's point of view, that means this is not just a hobby course. It is structured technical instruction tied to safety, regulation, and real-world workforce expectations.
It also creates a strong bridge to post-secondary opportunities. Students who start this learning in high school gain vocabulary, awareness, and confidence that can carry forward into technical college, aviation studies, FA-aligned pathways, and other workforce training models. The broader frame this work prepares students early for FAA certification and workforce readiness.
With AprentisAi, the online presence is where the platform becomes especially powerful. If a student misses a concept, the system does not just mark it wrong and move on. It identifies the precise learning objective that needs reinforcement and redirects the student back to the right info to strengthen learning. No student is left behind. For teachers and administrators, that means better visibility into who is progressing, where students are getting stuck, and what concepts may need more support at the class, cohort, or program level. And if you are wondering about it, yes, air traffic control can see your drone if it strays into controlled airspace.
Since they can see your drone ID and know who you are, fines could result. And questions about airspace will be on your pilot certification test, so you want to really understand airspace classifications.
That is good information, Reese. I'm impressed that you know that much about ATC.
I have a very special set of skills acquired over a long period of time.
Okay. In Lesson 7 on radio communications, we'll learn all about how ATC and pilots will talk to you if you stray into their airspace. For now, let's continue to think about how the system data capture matters. It gives schools a much more informed picture of student growth than a traditional one-size-fits-all online course. Student, teacher, and administrative dashboards specifically emphasize data capture at the student, cohort, and system levels for stronger decision-making.
So when districts ask whether a program is engaging, measurable, and scalable, AprentisAi Adaptive Learning helps answer all three questions, and it is compatible with most learning management systems via the LTI standard. Now that we've covered the basics of airspace classifications, let's look at how students check their understanding with embedded questions.
Great idea, Reese. This matters for parents and school leaders because the goal is not passive exposure. The goal is mastery. Students are asked to retrieve, apply, and confirm what they know as they move through the lesson.
That retrieval process strengthens retention and it also supports accountability. Students are not simply present in the course, they are demonstrating progress through it. And for districts building a strong pathway, that is important. Programs gain value when they are structured, measurable, and aligned with a real outcome, whether that is certification readiness, dual enrollment alignment, workforce preparation, or stronger student transition into technical education.
So here are a couple of sample check questions. First, what are the two main categories of airspace? Is it A, regulatory and non-regulatory, B, controlled and uncontrolled, or is it C, Class A and Class G?
The correct answer is A, regulatory and non-regulatory. Airspace is classified into these two categories, which further break down into different airspace types, controlled and uncontrolled.
Now we have check question 2. Which type of airspace does not require ATC clearance? Is it A, Class B, B, Class C, C, Class G?
If you answered C Class G, you got it. Class G airspace is uncontrolled, meaning no ATC clearance is needed. Here is some FAA detail about Class G you might be interested in. Uncontrolled airspace, or Class G airspace, is the portion of the airspace that has not been designated as one of the controlled types Class A, B, C, D, or E. It is therefore designated uncontrolled airspace, uncontrolled but not unregulated. Class G airspace extends from the surface to the base of the overlying Class E airspace. A drone pilot with a Part 107 pilot certification does not need ATC authorization to operate in Class G airspace. Here is a brain hack to help you remember about Class G airspace. Class G extends from the surface or from the ground up to the base of Class E airspace. So G is for ground. It is also for good to go for drone ops.
The adaptive system that circles the student back to reinforce learning gaps is one of the reasons AprentisAi is a strong fit for secondary education. It supports varied learners, reduces wasted time, and helps teachers focus on facilitation and student support rather than reteaching everything manually when a learning gap is identified.
For principals and district administrators, the larger opportunity is this. AprentisAi can help your schools offer a modern, workforce-connected aviation program that is rigorous, engaging, and scalable. It supports certification-oriented learning, fits naturally into CTE and career pathway conversations, and may align with Perkins 5 and related workforce funding strategies. Thank you for your time today. We would be honored to discuss implementation options, scheduling models, and how AprentisAi can support your district's college, career, and workforce readiness goals. When students log in to the AprentisAi adaptive learning platform, they enter a learning environment designed to personalize instruction, strengthen retention, and help each learner progress toward mastery.
We would also be pleased to invite you to an in-person or online video demonstration of the AI-enabled AprentisAi adaptive learning system, so you can see and experience how the platform personalizes instruction, identifies learning gaps, and supports students and educators in real time. For more information, please contact us at info@AprentisAi.com. We would be pleased to discuss the course, the adaptive platform, and how this solution may fit within your existing academic and career pathway programs and ways to support your students and educators. Thank you again for your time and have a wonderful day.
Thank you and a good day to you.